Alright guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at the rat form here in Dark and Darker. I'm going to start off just by looking at the description here. So you're going to obviously transform into a rat. That'll come at a 10% movement speed bonus with a 95% max health reduction bonus. You're also going to lose all of your physical and magical damage reductions. You're going to take a 95% cut to both physical and magical healing, and you're going to be able to jump 10% higher. Your left click, which would be your primary attack in rat form, is going to do 1 physical damage along with a 3 magic damage over time. Your right click is going to squeak. You can use that to bait the enemies if you felt like it. Mostly it's just there for fun. And your activatable is going to be a 20 move speed for 6 seconds buff. And after that duration, you'll take a 20% move speed penalty for 3 seconds. So useful when you're trying to run away, but just make sure you're aware of that move speed loss at the end. That can set you up for an archer hitting you, warlock spells, so on and so forth. So just keep that in mind. Rat form has a few different benefits while in the dungeon that you could take advantage of. When you're in rat form, you do have a greatly reduced hitbox. That allows you to avoid a lot of mobs' attacks. And pairing it with the shapeshifting mastery perk to allow you to instantly transform into the rat, you can scurry along past enemies' feet and avoid a lot of attacks that would otherwise be unavoidable. You can also avoid a lot of player attacks as well, but it does have a disadvantage in almost instantly dying to a mage's fireball, ice lance, along with the molotovs as well. So you want to keep that in mind before you shapeshift. Probably the most fun portion of being the rat is kind of taking advantage of some of the inconspicuous areas in the dungeon. One of my favorites is going to be the large pots that you can actually hide inside of if you jump up on top and then transform into the rat. This offers a great hiding spot, especially if you hear players are approaching. However, the only issue is the way out of it is to break the pot itself, which can be quite noisy. So just keep that in mind. Rat form can also be used to get on the other side of gates with large enough openings. This can be useful when you want to pull mobs that are on the other side of that gate and then retreat to the other side and kill them through the gate. Useful for wraiths, skeletal champions, or mobs down in the hell portals that you want to have a little extra precaution with. Also really effective at escaping players. When you have a gate that's closed, it allows you to jump right through it instead of taking time to open the gate and try to close it. 1, saves you time on opening, and 2, your pursuers will be forced to open it before they can chase you down. So it saves you a little extra time there. Rat form also offers a pretty easy and safe way of destroying spider pots, especially when there are other mobs in the area that you wouldn't be able to deal with first. You can run right into the opening of the mouth of the pot, and mobs can't attack you, the spiders can't attack you, and you're free to break it at your leisure with 2 rat attacks. Another nice thing about this is spiders actually, as long as you're on the same elevation, aren't able to hit you while in rat form, and then you can kill the remainders with just 2 auto attacks each. As long as they're the white basic spiders. So this can be an easy way to run in, break the pot, run out, and then deal with the regular mobs. One of the last things with rat form as far as a benefit goes is traversing areas with the sludge debuff. So there are certain rooms that have an oily sludge that do slow down the player while they're inside of it. Rat form does not take this debuff, whether or not it's intentional, I'm not sure, but it allows you to run through it quickly. Can again be used when kiting mobs or running from players to slow them down and you not take that penalty. It's also useful for flanking opponents or getting information if you want to scout out if a fight's worth taking, especially if you're on a lower gear set, scouting out players' gear to see if they're cape boys or if they're just another basic boy like yourself. It can be useful for getting that information to you and your team, as well as getting back behind a team to potentially take out a ranger or mage with cat form. On some of the negatives of rat form, and there are plenty of it that you do need to keep in mind before you go into the dungeon. Rat form does have a tendency to die on spike traps. Although it looks like you should be able to just run right across them, rat form does take damage from spikes and is going to be an insta kill. You can, however, run along the edge of the spike trap, and it's pretty effective at proccing the trap, but not actually taking damage as long as you stay on the outer edges. but you don't want to run through the middle as you're going to die one way or another. Another thing to keep in mind, especially when you're fleeing from players, is that rat form has a problem with stairs. Although spam jumping can get you up the stairs in rat form, it's going to be a lot quicker to shapeshift out, typically into a chicken is my advice, and then running up the stairs and then transforming back into the rat to continue escaping. You do need to keep in mind, though, that when you're on the stairs themselves, due to stair collision, it can be quite difficult to shapeshift into anything else, whether it be human, chicken, whatnot, unless you jump, and that's not even guaranteed itself. So you want to keep in mind that you want to shapeshift before hitting the stairs themselves. One of the biggest killers of druids in rat form is actually going to be your damage over time. Because you only have 5% of your total health while in rat form, even something as simple as a 1 damage per second over time is going to be lethal to you if you transform. So you want to keep that in mind before you try and shapeshift after getting attacked by, say, a rogue who has things like poison weapon and rupture. That's going to immediately kill you after 1 tick. So you don't want to transform into rat form unless you're sure you're clear of any damage over time debuffs. Keep in mind there are mobs that also apply damage over time, such as the dragonfly, and things like the poison gas clouds from zombies will kill you almost immediately. Another mistake that I do love seeing druids make is actually trying to hide in the bodies of fallen enemies or players. Because of the way that Dark and Darker does ragdoll physics, bodies actually don't land on the ground in the same spot for every player. So you might be completely in a mob's body or a player's body and completely hidden, but on someone else's screen, you're just out in the middle of the open ready to take an arrow. So keep that in mind, not a great place to hide when you're trying to avoid enemy players. Another common problem that you really got to keep an eye out for is you don't want to accidentally soft lock yourself by jumping into certain props on the map. A lot of the prop pots that can't actually be interacted with, destroyed, things like that, or death sentences. If you jump in one and it's too high for you to jump out in rat form, you're basically just done. You can't transform because it's too small, so you can't turn into like a chicken to fly out or anything like that. You basically just have to die and hope either your teammates can get you or you're just out of luck. So keep that in mind. Make sure that you're not jumping into something too deep to get back out of. So overall, I think shapeshifting is really a fun addition to the game. Specifically rat form, I think it opens up a lot of new play styles and allows you to access some really interesting places in the dungeon that you wouldn't typically be able to. I see a lot of people complaining online, but overall, I'm happy with the way that the Dark and Darker team is progressing, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. If there's anything that you've found that the rat form can be useful with in the game, let me know. Or if you want to voice your complaints, complain in the comments, go for it. I'd love to read them. But that's going to be all. If you have any other Dark and Darker ideas or ideas about any other games you want to see, let me know. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.